Inspiring moment. Little girl's heartfelt plea for help exposes millionaire father's hidden love. In a suburban neighborhood filled with laughter and light, 10-year-old Lily stood in front of an overflowing pile of toys, her heart racing. A pledge had ignited in her bright eyes, a mission that only a spirited little girl could embrace. "Dad, we have to help," she insisted, her voice steady but trembling with urgency. Those words held the weight of the world, polarizing her father, Jack, a man whose success shielded him from the struggles of others. Just a few blocks away, Lily had witnessed her classmates with empty lunch bags and sadness in their eyes. "What if we use our charity drive to help them?" she pleaded, her voice ringing like a bell. Jack, the millionaire businessman, shook his head dismissively, cementing a divide between them as clear as the sun in the sky. "Charity begins at home, Lily," he told her with a practiced smile, the kind that didn't quite reach his eyes. A knot of disappointment twisted in her chest. She watched him retreat into the cocoon of his work, tangled in phone calls and deadlines, while she stood at a crossroads of compassion. Her dreams of connection lost to the walls of wealth, but Lily's spirit refused to falter. Each day as the charity drive loomed closer, she gathered her friends under the swing set, determined to make a difference. "Let us have a bake sale," she declared. They poured heart and soul into every cookie and cupcake, laughter bubbling up between the frosting globs. The neighborhood burst into life, neighbors uniting behind the unassuming mission of a little girl, their smiles and cheers carrying a warmth that even Jack could feel. But then disaster struck. A fire lashed through the modest home of a struggling family. The community gasped collectively, hearts pounding in unison. Jack felt the shiver down his spine, flames consuming not just the house, but the very fabric of their neighborhood. He watched from his window as people sprang into action, offering clothes, shelter, and hugs. This poignant display of kindness cut through his pretense, forcing him to confront the harsh truths that lay outside his gilded walls. Lily rushed to help, face streaked with determination. Jack could see her innocence edging on heartbreak as she sought to soothe her friend. It pierced something deep within him. The moment he spotted her sacrificing so much ignited an internal shift. Paternal instincts flickered to life, urging him to be more than a bystander. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. Jack gripped the edge of his desk, finally grappling with the question that had haunted him. Could he turn away from the very community that had once supported him? Seeing Lily's resolute face, he felt the shackles of his wealth start to crumble. Standing on the precipice of a decision that could redefine both his life and his daughter's, he glanced at the remnants of the fire's destruction. Would he finally break free from the isolation of his riches? Every fiber of his being cried out for connection as Lily had shown him through her small, courageous heart. The clock was ticking. The breath of the community hung heavy in the air. Would Jack take the leap into vulnerability and embrace his daughter's plea for love? As his fingers hovered above his phone, uncertainty washed over him. Heart pounding, he struggled to find his answer. Jack's heart raced, each passing second pushing him closer to a decision that could reshape everything. He could feel the weight of his daughter's gaze, the trust she placed in him. In that moment, the world outside seemed to pulse with life, a living tapestry of neighbors banding together. They weren't just helping, they were shining light into desperate corners, filling voids where sadness had resided. "What am I doing?" Jack muttered under his breath, as he pulled his thoughts out from the fog of business meetings and stock reports. He let the images of Lily's classmates, their faces shadowed with worry, replay in his mind. He thought of the family who lost their home, the shock and despair evident on every face he'd seen. They mattered. The community mattered. And perhaps, just as importantly, his daughter mattered more than the illusions he had built around himself. With a deep breath, he made up his mind. He grabbed his phone and dialed, his hands shaking slightly as he pressed it to his ear. Hello, yes, I need to speak with my assistant. It's time for me to take a break from the office. I want to plan something, he said, his voice gaining strength with each word. Dad? It was Lily's voice, brightening the air around him. He turned to see her standing at the door, eyes wide with surprise. For a moment he hesitated, but the conviction in her expression melted his doubts away. She believed in him, and that was all the encouragement he needed. We're going to help, he declared, straightening his back. I'll match whatever money you make at the bake sale. We'll turn it into something bigger, so much bigger. He was surprised by the enthusiasm bursting from his own lips. Let us gather donations, organize a community event. We'll fix what was lost together. Lily's face broke into a bright smile that lit up the room. In that instant, he remembered what it felt like to feel alive, connected. The slight fog of uncertainty began to lift, and he no longer felt like he was standing at the edge. He felt as though he was taking that leap. As he stepped outside, the sun gleamed warmly on his skin. The sound of the community buzzing with purpose surrounded him, and it felt strange yet right. Jack was struck by how different everything seemed. It was the same neighborhood, but his perspective had shifted. Every neighbor he passed greeted him with genuine warmth, smiles that invited him deeper into the fabric of their lives. Lily was by his side, her hand small yet firm in his, leading him forward. Together, they approached the group gathered around the remnants of the burned house. Jack's heart ached at the sight, but he also noticed the strength of the community, a support system woven tighter by adversity. As he prepared to speak, he caught sight of the family who had lost everything. They stood together, arms around each other, yet their faces told a story of hope. He knew he had to say something that mattered. But in that moment of silence, Jack wrestled with a revelation far deeper than mere words, the realization that vulnerability was strength, and togetherness could raise even the fallen. Taking a deep breath, he stepped forward. Everyone, can I have your attention? His voice called out, ringing with newfound assurance. We're going to help rebuild. And I'm going to be right there with you. Lily squeezed his hand, and for the first time, it felt like they were truly a team, a father-daughter duo on a mission. As he looked around, he saw the flicker of hope igniting in familiar faces. The energy shifted, and the atmosphere grew electric with possibility. But little did Jack know, a deeper challenge awaited him, one that would test his commitment to his daughter and their community. Just as he opened his mouth to continue, a small voice called out from the crowd, "But what about the people who need help now?" Jack's heart sank. There was still so much to do and so many questions to answer. Was he ready for everything that lay ahead? Would he truly be able to face every challenge head-on? Jack paused, the air heavy with expectation. The little girl who had spoken up stood at the front of the crowd, her small figure dwarfed by the adults around her. Her brown curls bounced as she stepped forward, eyes wide and filled with tears. What about my friends? They don't have homes, and we need to help them now. Her voice, though small, cut through the murmur of the crowd like a bell ringing. Jack shifted his weight, feeling a wave of heat rise in his cheeks. Lily squeezed his hand tighter, silently urging him to respond. For a moment, Jack felt the weight of uncertainty pressing down on him. He had thought the mere act of offering help would be enough, but here was this little girl, laying bare the reality they all faced. He stumbled, searching for the right words. You're right. We need to do more than plan. We need to act now. A murmur of agreement rippled through the gathering. The little girl wiped her tears with the back of her hand, her expression shifting from distress to a cautious glimmer of hope. Jack felt emboldened by this shift. Let us set up a donation station right here. Clothing, food, anything you can share. We can also organize volunteers to help those who need it most. Lily beamed up at him, her eyes shining with pride. She started clapping, and soon the entire crowd joined in, their voices rising together. Yes. Let us do it. Jack felt his heart swell as the whirlwind of activity erupted around them. His vision was clear, the community was coming alive, propelled by compassion and urgency. Neighbors rushed to gather supplies, Others began making calls for immediate aid, and the little girl, who had sparked this awakening, gathered her friends, sharing his words with an energy that brightened the entire scene. As he watched this unfold before him, Jack couldn't help but feel a mix of gratitude and astonishment. The powerful bond of a community was wrapping around him, enveloping him in a warmth he hadn't felt in ages. Suddenly, he wasn't just a businessman. He was part of something real, something meaningful. However, as contributions began to pour in, a voice rose from the back, this time trembling with uncertainty. But what if we can't help everyone? There are too many. Jack's stomach nodded. He cast his eyes toward Lily, who stood frozen, her brightness dimmed by the deep-seated fear of impossibility. This wasn't just about rekindling hope. It was about confronting the hard truth of their limits. Even if just one family finds a home again, Jack said, surprising himself with the conviction in his voice, that's enough to keep moving forward. We take it one step at a time. The crowd nodded, absorbing his words, but the doubt lingered. Behind him, he could hear whispers about how they would manage this massive task. Instinctively, he knew this was just the beginning of a tougher journey. "Dad, what do we do next?" Lily asked, concern knitting her brows. Her question echoed through Jack's mind. He felt a flicker of apprehension as new realizations floated to the surface. As much as he wanted to believe they could make a significant impact, he couldn't shake the feeling that the hardest battles were still ahead. But before he could respond, a sharp voice behind him spoke again, carrying a weight of urgency that silenced the crowd. "I have an idea, but it won't be easy." Jack turned to see a neighbor, someone he hardly knew, stepping forward with an outstretched hand. The invitation was clear, a path had opened, one filled with risks and rewards alike. Would Jack take this leap into the unknown? What did this idea entail, and could they truly galvanize the community into action? This was only the beginning, and Jack realized the stakes were higher than he ever imagined. Jack's heart raced. The neighbor, a wiry man named Sam, seemed to have something bubbling beneath the surface, something that could either ignite their efforts or send them spiraling into chaos. The crowd leaned in, a web of curiosity and anxiety knitting them together. "What's the idea, Sam?" Jack asked, trying to suppress his own nervousness. Everyone looked expectantly at the man. Sam cleared his throat, glancing at the eager faces before him. "We need resources," he began, and Jack could feel the tension in the air, thick like molasses. "But we can't depend solely on donations. We need a sustainable plan, something beyond today." He took a moment, almost like he was weighing the impact of his next words. "I've got contacts. Local businesses that might join in, maybe offer matching donations. But here's the catch: before we reach out, we need to show them we're serious. We need to have a visible presence, something that'll draw attention to our cause." Lily leaned closer to Jack, her wide eyes sparkling with hope. Sam continued, outlining a vision that was equal parts thrilling and daunting. "A community event. A fair, maybe. Music, food, games. What if we can harness the power of our neighborhood? Everyone comes together, we raise funds, and we can show those who can help that we mean business." Excited murmurs swept through the crowd. Jack felt a wave of confusion wash over him. "A fair?" he echoed, trying to picture the chaos of organizing something so large. "Yes," Sam said, his enthusiasm infectious. "If we can get enough people involved, families, local businesses, it could rally everyone together. We can make this happen." There it was. The spark that ignited a fire inside Jack. He glanced at Lily, seeing her youthful passion reflected in the shimmering hope around him. But a moment of doubt threaded through his thoughts, as he whispered, "What if we can't pull this off?" Tension flickered in the air, but before Jack could let the self-doubt fester, he felt Lily's small hand slip into his again. She squeezed tight, a gesture of unwavering support. "What's the worst that could happen?" she asked, her voice lifted with energy. "We're all here to help." "Right." Jack looked around, noticing the nods and fervor rising within the crowd. There was a collective resolve growing, bound by a shared mission. "You're right, Lily. We can't let fear stop us. It's time to turn our words into action. An electrified cheer erupted from the crowd, each clap and shout resonating with a defiance that echoed off the neighboring buildings. They were ready to take the plunge. Jack's pulse quickened further, excitement and anxiety wrestling within him. "Let us get to work," he said, his voice rising above the din. "Sam, get a team together. We need volunteers. We can set a date for this fair and plan every detail. We'll need the community involved: entertainers, vendors, families." As voices filled the air with ideas of music and games, Jack felt that familiar warmth wrapping around him again, not just from unity, but a profound sense of purpose. Yes, they were stepping into the unknown, but they were doing it together. Yet, a tiny voice in the back of his head whispered an unsettling truth. Organizing a fair wasn't just a logistical challenge. It was an emotional journey that would test the community's resolve and strength. Jack hesitated, then looked down at Lily, who smiled up at him, blissfully unaware of the potential trials ahead. In that moment, he realized the stakes hadn't just risen for him, but for everyone they sought to help. "Okay, community," he called out, raising his voice as the excitement peaked, "let us turn this dream into a reality, and we'll show everyone what we stand for." As the cheers echoed like a promise, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that this was just a precursor to the true challenges that lay ahead. Would they be ready when the storm of reality hit? And was he truly prepared to face what it meant to be part of a community fighting for hope? The questions lingered, but now, there was a fire ignited that he couldn't ignore. But then, from the back, a larger figure stepped into view, casting a long shadow over the gathering. "What's all this talk of a fair?" The sharp voice cut through the excitement, and a wave of silence spread like a ripple across the gathering. Jack turned, unease creeping back into his heart. That voice was all too familiar. What would the newcomer want? "Tom," Jack muttered, his heart sinking as the familiar figure pushed his way through the crowd. Tom had a reputation that preceded him, a successful businessman with a sharp tongue and a less than pleasant attitude. As Tom reached the front, the murmur of confusion rippled through the gathering, the joy of the moment clouding over like a storm on the horizon. "What do you want, Tom?" Sam asked, irritation lacing his voice. The community had worked hard to create a sense of togetherness, and here was Tom, ready to disrupt with his imposing presence. Jack pressed his lips together, waiting for the argument that was sure to ensue. Tom's eyes scanned the crowd before landing on Jack, a smirk playing at the corners of his mouth. "I just want to know," Tom began, his voice booming, "what makes you think this fair will actually work? Lively music and food stalls aren't going to fix the issues we have around here. You need substantial plans, or else you're just sending the community on a wild goose chase." Each word he spoke felt like a knife, cutting through the optimism that had just filled the air. Jack could see the deflation in some faces nearby, the weight of doubt slowly crushing the hope that had begun to take root. "Tom, we're doing this together," Jack replied, forcing the conviction in his voice even as uncertainty flicked at his heart. "We believe in our community. People want to come together and help." "Belief doesn't pay the bills, kid," Tom shot back. Some members of the crowd shifted uncomfortably, glancing at one another, weighing their trust in Jack against the harsh reality Tom seemed to represent. Lily, still holding Jack's hand, stepped forward, her small voice rising above the noise. "Mr. Tom," she called out, surprising everyone with her boldness. "We just need a chance. Everyone deserves help, and we believe we can do it together." The innocence and determination in her words stunned the crowd into silence. Jack turned to her, pride swelling in his chest, even as dread loomed in the back of his mind. He felt the collective attention shift back to Tom, whose expression was unreadable, though skepticism lingered in the air like stifled laughter. "How sweet," Tom said, his tone dripping with condescension. "But let us be honest. A fair won't change anything. If you want change, you need real resources. You need connections and power. That's exactly what we are building," Sam interjected, stepping beside Jack and Lily. "This fair is our chance to bring the community together to show that we can create something meaningful. It's a step, a beginning. Don't you want to see your neighborhood thrive?" Tom rolled his eyes. "Good luck, then." But don't come crying to me when it fails. With that, he turned on his heel and walked away, leaving an awkward silence in his wake. Jack felt a wave of both dread and determination wash over him. Would the fair fail? Would the community fall apart? The answer seemed precarious, lingering like the tension in the air after a storm. Lily squeezed Jack's hand tighter, looking up at him with a fierce spark in her eyes. We have to prove him wrong, she said quietly but firmly. Yes, Jack replied, a rush of warmth igniting within him. We will. We can't back down now. A chorus of agreement rippled through the crowd, voices rising once more as they rallied behind the cause, undeterred by Tom's harsh words. Jack felt the momentum surging with renewed vigor. They were ready to take their first real step toward change. But just as plans began to unfold again, with ideas being thrown around and laughter returning, another loud voice broke through the excitement. But what about safety? Who's going to take responsibility if things go wrong? The question hung heavily, pulling Jack's mind away from hope and back to the hard realities of organizing a fair. He hadn't thought about the risks. All right, people, Jack said, gathering himself. Let us talk about this. We need to plan every detail, and that includes ensuring everyone's safety. As they began discussing logistics, with voices overlapping each other, Jack wondered if it was really possible to build something that would outshine all the fears. Questions lingered in his heart. Would they be prepared for the challenges ahead? Could they forge a pathway through doubt and fear, hand in hand with hope? And just when Jack thought they were moving forward, he spotted something moving in the distance, a figure watching, shrouded in the late afternoon shadows, someone who looked like they were here to disrupt everything once more. Who were they? Jack squinted against the fading sunlight, trying to catch a better view of the figure lurking in the shadows. It was unsettling, like a dark omen hovering just on the edge of their newfound hope. The crowd buzzed around him, every voice blending into a hum of excitement and anxiety, yet all he could focus on was that silhouette. Who is that? Sam asked, noticing Jack's sudden stillness. I don't know, Jack replied, his instincts prickling. But I don't like it. Lily, still buoyant from their earlier triumph, tugged at Jack's sleeve. Do you think they'll ruin everything? Jack swallowed hard, forcing a smile. Let us focus on our plans. We can't be afraid. We're building something here. The voices around him began to merge once again into a lively discussion about booth setups and food inventories, but deep inside, Jack felt that shadow loom large. He cast one last glance before shaking off the uneasiness. All right, everyone. Let us get back to business, he called out, trying to rally the group. They discussed everything from music lineups to volunteer assignments, laughter punctuating the conversation, the taste of excitement tangible in the air. But Jack couldn't shake the feeling that something was about to go wrong. As they wrapped up for the day, the shadowy figure approached, clearly a woman, tall and almost regal in stance, with long dark hair that caught the last remnants of daylight. She stepped into the clearing and stood at the edge of the throng, her gaze fixed on Jack as if searching for something. His heart quickened, and he braced himself for whatever storm she might bring. Excuse me, she called out, her voice smooth yet commanding. The chatter died down as the crowd turned to watch her, curiosity piqued. I'm here because I have a proposition, she continued, walking forward with an air of confidence. My name is Angela, and I believe I can help you. Jack exchanged a look with Sam. Suspicion flickered through the crowd again, but there was also a glimmer of interest. Help us how? Jack asked cautiously. She smiled, and it was disarming. I work in community development. I'm well aware of the issues you're facing. And I want to help this fair succeed if you're willing to accept the right kind of support. What's the catch? Sam shot back, arms crossed defensively. Angela's expression remained steady. No catch. Just an offer. I have resources, connections, and expertise that could transform this fair into something extraordinary. All I need from you is a little trust. Jack felt the crowd shift. Whispers rose among them like a rustling of leaves. Angela, how do we know we can trust you? He asked, carefully weighing his words. Fair enough, she replied, her gaze unwavering. But ask yourself, what's the alternative? Uncertainty? Doubt? If you turn down help because you're afraid, nothing will change. You have a chance to create something meaningful here, but it will take more than just good intentions. It will take action, and help from those who have walked this path before. Her words ignited a discussion among the crowd, some faces reflecting hope, others skepticism. Jack felt the weight of their gazes on him as they awaited his response. "I need time to think," Jack finally said, though he could feel the tension in the air. "Of course," Angela replied, her smile still present. "But remember, the clock is ticking. If you decide to move forward, let me know soon. We could change the fate of this fair together." With that, she stepped back, her presence fading into the crowd as discussions erupted again. Jack's heart raced, every part of him torn between the allure of her offer and the fear of what accepting it could mean. Could they trust her? Was this the lifeline they needed, or just another potential threat? As the night settled in, Jack knew he had a decision to make. And as he stood amongst the people he cared for, the weight of that choice felt heavier than any challenge yet to come. Just then, a flicker of movement caught his eye again. The watching figure from earlier was back, this time stepping cautiously forward, eyes locked on Jack, clearly ready to speak. Jack's breath hitched as the figure moved closer, revealing a girl, no older than 8 or 9, clutching a worn-out stuffed animal. Her eyes, wide and glistening, seemed to hold a world of worry. It pierced through the noise of the crowd, silencing their chatter, as they turned their attention to her. "Excuse me, sir?" She spoke softly, her voice barely above a whisper yet somehow commanding. The uncertainty in her gaze belied her courage. "Can I talk to you?" Jack knelt to her level, feeling the weight of his responsibility like an anchor pulling him down. "Sure, sweetie. What's your name?" "Anna," she said, clutching the stuffed bear tighter, as if it were all that anchored her in this overwhelming world. "What can I help you with, Anna?" he asked, his heart already aching at the vulnerability etched on her small face. Anna hesitated, glancing around as if searching for someone. "I heard what the lady said about the fair. She looked really nice. But what if she's not?" Her brow furrowed, and her voice trembled. "What if she makes it worse?" Jack's heart tightened. How could this little girl who should be playing hopscotch be so aware of the complexities that surrounded their dreams? "I understand your concern, Anna. It's really important to be cautious." She nodded, her eyes darting back to the mass of people. "But what if it helps? My mama says we need good things, real good things, to happen around here." Jack felt a lump in his throat. Your mama is right. We all want this fair to be something special. But sometimes you have to take a leap of faith to see if something can be good. It's scary, but he hesitated, words tumbling from his mind. It can be worth it. Anna's eyes locked onto his, searching for reassurance. "What if I can help? I can help my friends too. If we work together, maybe we can make it fun." Her voice rose, drawing the attention of nearby adults, their smiles softening in response to her contagious enthusiasm. Jack felt a flicker of hope igniting within him. This little girl reminded him of why they were all fighting to bring this fair to life. "You know what, Anna? That's a brilliant idea. Every little bit helps, even if it's the effort from the smallest of us." Encouraged by his words, Anna beamed, her smile lighting up her face. "So, you'll talk to the lady and help her help us?" The shadows in Jack's heart began to recede just a bit. "I will. I promise." Just then, the crowd started to murmur again, the discussions picking up pace. As more people gathered around the pair, Jack caught glimpses of hope blossoming on faces. Maybe we really can reach for something bigger, he thought. Yet as he stood, Anna still clutching his hand, a sickening feeling crawled back into his gut. What if they did take that leap and fell instead? But before he could spiral too far into the rabbit hole of worry, he felt a gentle squeeze from Anna. "We can do it if we're brave together," she said, a simple but powerful statement. Jack nodded, and for a moment he believed her. But in the back of his mind, that lingering shadow from the earlier conversation persisted. What should he do? Just then, Angela's figure reappeared at the edge of the crowd, watching intently. The unease in Jack's chest flared again. No matter what, he needed to confront her and set a path. Anna, he said firmly, let us talk to that lady together. As they took steps toward Angela, Jack couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of something monumental. It felt like standing on the edge of a cliff, ready to dive deep into the unknown, or fall into darkness. But one question loomed in his mind unresolved: what was Angela really offering? And would it truly bring them the hope they all so desperately craved? The crowd shifted as Jack and Anna approached Angela. Her confident stance contrasted sharply with the vulnerability of the girl by his side. Children's laughter echoed around them, a sharp reminder of what was at stake. Jack silently willed himself to steady his racing heart. He needed to be the rock Anna thought he was. Excuse me, Angela? Jack called out, his voice firmer than he felt. The crowd quieted, anticipation hanging in the air like fog. Can we talk? A small smile danced across Angela's lips as her sharp gaze turned toward them, but Jack saw the flicker of irritation in her eyes. Of course, Jack. What's on your mind? Anna stepped forward, her tiny hand still clutching Jack's, her voice a brave little whisper. We want to help make the fair fun. But we're scared it might not be good, like how the lady earlier made it seem. Angela's expression shifted, if only for a moment, to something softer. I appreciate your honesty, Anna. It's understandable to be cautious. But we can create a change here together. You and all your friends can be involved. Jack felt a small glimpse of warmth in Angela's tone, but the underlying cynicism still prickled at him. And how do we know this is real? How do we know you're not just here to play puppet master? Angela raised an eyebrow, her demeanor in increasing contrast with the excitement radiating from Anna. I'm not out to control anyone, Jack. I want to offer opportunities, a chance for the community to engage, to be heard. With creativity and courage, we can build something beautiful. Anna's eyes lit up, hope flickering as she turned back to Jack. See? Maybe she really can help us. Jack hesitated. There was a shimmering potential in Angela's words, yet doubt lingered. What do you mean by opportunities? Angela crossed her arms, sizing him up. I have resources. I can connect you with artists, organizers, and even sponsors who want to sprinkle joy back into this community. You could lead, guide everyone in making this fair something magnificent. And in exchange? Jack pressed. There had to be a catch. Angela shrugged lightly, a cryptic smile gracing her lips. Nothing much, just a little partnership. Help me to promote this, and I assure you, the results will amaze you. Jack felt Anna's grip tighten, the worry evident again in her tiny features. What if it goes wrong? You could just take all the good away, she whispered. He knelt down beside her again, his heart aching for this fragile creature, so full of hope yet brimming with uncertainty. You know what, Anna? Sometimes risks are part of building dreams. But it has to feel right. It has to be worth it. Angela interjected quickly, her voice sweet but firm. Exactly. And this is your chance, your moment to shine. Are you willing to take that leap, Jack? The crowd was watching intently, eyes wide like they were watching a showdown at high noon. Jack felt the weight of their expectations. He looked at Anna, whose delicate face flickered between concern and hope. Okay, he finally said. I'll think about it. But if we agree, I need you to promise you'll follow through. No empty promises. A glint of what felt like respect flashed in Angela's gaze. You have my word. As the words hung in the air, it felt like the first flutter of wings, the dawn signaling a new beginning. But in the pit of Jack's stomach, a gnawing question lingered: what truly lay beneath Angela's charming facade? And just then, a loud voice pierced through the crowd, echoing the unease in Jack's heart. What are you doing? It was a man, pushing through the sea of people, eyes fixated on Angela, filled with anger. What do you want from us? Jack's heart raced again. Fear, curiosity, and a sense of impending change collided inside him. The tension was palpable, and he sensed he was about to uncover more than he had bargained for. What secrets would this stranger reveal? And would it shatter their fragile hope or solidify it? The man stepped closer, sharp breaths matching the urgency in his voice. Angela, we don't need your kind of help. Not here. Not now. His anger seemed to ripple through the crowd, igniting murmurs of dissent. Jack exchanged a quick glance with Anna, who still looked bewildered. She squeezed his hand tighter, seeking reassurance. Jack couldn't shake the tight knot forming in his stomach. What was the man suggesting? Daniel, you don't understand, Angela said, her voice steady, but Jack detected a slight tremor beneath the surface. I'm offering a lifeline. There's a chance here to revitalize this community. By playing puppeteer? Daniel spat, eyes blazing. We're tired of being treated like lab rats in your little experiment. A murmur spread through the crowd, divided between intrigue and anxiety. Jack could feel it in the air. One moment, everything felt full of promise, and the next, it sank in uncertainty. Daniel, please. Angela's tone softened as she edged closer. This can be a good thing. If you would only give it a chance? Daniel interrupted, throwing his arms wide, nearly spilling over with frustration. What good has your chance ever done us? We don't need a spectacle, we need real solutions. Jack's heart raced. Could Daniel be right? The exhilaration they felt moments ago began to waver. Was this all just a prelude to making things worse? Anna tugged at Jack's sleeve, her innocence cut through the tension. But it could be fun. We could. Daniel kneeled, meeting Anna's gaze. Honey, fun isn't enough to fix all that's broken. Sometimes his voice softened, eyes nearly pleading. Sometimes you have to fight for what really matters. Jack witnessed Anna's hopeful expression fade, replaced by a confused frown. What did that mean? He wanted to protect her, spark her joy and belief in something better. But doubt buzzed louder than the fair's laughter around them. Look, everyone, Jack spoke up, trying to reclaim the moment. We're here because we want to help. His gaze searched the crowd, catching mismatched expressions flickering between distrust and hopeful curiosity. Change can happen if we let fear win. If we can work together, maybe things can turn around. A flicker of interest sharpened Angela's eyes. Exactly, Jack. This is what I mean about community working together. Every voice matters. We just need to figure out how to use them. Daniel shook his head, eyes narrowing. You think she'll listen? You think this is really about us? I've seen enough false hope. We can't let her take into something fake, not after what this town has endured. Jack felt the current pulling him in two directions. Part of him felt the weight of apprehension that Daniel articulated so passionately, but another part echoed vibrancy within Angela's vision, a chance to build, not just tear down. As he wrestled internally, Anna's small voice broke through once more, barely above a whisper. But what if she's right? What if we can show everyone how much fun we can have? Out of the corner of his eye, Jack noticed Angela's face soften, moved by Anna's innocent hope. See? Angela replied to Anna, a hint of a genuine smile emerging. You already have the spirit, the heart to bring this change. Just then, Daniel recoiled, his hands balled into fists. It's not just about fun. It's about trust and respect. Before he could finish, Daniel's words were drowned out by the claps of thunder rumbling overhead. Dark clouds rolled in, casting a stark shadow over the crowd. The change in atmosphere was palpable, and suddenly, the conversation felt like it was spiraling out of control. As weighty rain began to fall, Jack could sense how fragile everything was. Could a storm be just the catalyst they needed to clarify what mattered most? Or would it wash away the seeds of hope they had just begun to plant? With raindrops falling like heavy thoughts, Jack's resolve hardened. We need to be honest with each other. Let us not waste this moment. Rain mixed with tension, and chaos threatened to unfold as voices rose, the crowd's echoing uncertainty threatening to pull them apart. Just when they needed unity the most, what would it take to truly bring the community together in this storm? And would they have a chance to protect their dreams before the skies split open? As the rain fell, that peculiar mix of chaos and beauty filled the air, washing away pretense and revealing raw human emotions. Jack felt the droplets hit his skin like nature's way of sharpening focus, urging him to stand up for both hope and vulnerability. Everyone, he called out, his voice clamoring above the roar of the storm, let us not let this rain drown our ambitions. It's just water, just like our fears. The crowds began to quiet, their eyes turning toward him, curiosity flickering like lights in a dark room. Daniel, Jack continued, catching the eye of the angry man. I understand your concerns. We all face disappointments in our community. But here, today, we have the chance to change that narrative. He pointed toward Anna, whose determined expression still bore that spark of innocence and optimism. Look at our children. They deserve more than doubt. They deserve to see what unity can truly accomplish. Anna clutched her stuffed bear tighter, nodding earnestly as her words spilled out. We want to make good things happen. Let us try together. Her voice, small against the downpour, reached deep into the hearts of those gathered, and Jack could see nodding heads and tentative smiles form in the crowd. The fair, Jack said, growing more animated as he felt the crowd rally around him. It's not just about games and fun. It's our chance to build relationships, to come together in a way we've never done before. We can show our neighbors, our friends, even skeptics like you, Daniel, that we believe in something greater. At that, the crowd erupted into murmurs, their collective breath heavy with possibility. Angela's expression shifted subtly, like the clouds above, revealing a glimmer of respect for Jack's suddenly bold stance. Just imagine, he pressed on, if we come together, if we organize and reach out, we show strength that can't be ignored. We can present a united front, a community ready for change. He glanced at Angela, uncertainty flickering in his mind. If you truly want to help us, show us exactly how. Let us take the leap together. Daniel took a step back, uncertainty dancing in his eyes, and for once, he didn't argue. The crackle of the rain was almost comforting now, an invigorating wash-like affirmation that growth often emerges from tempests. Yes. Let us do this, shouted someone from the crowd, revitalizing the moment. We'll stand together. The echoes rolled through like thunder, sparking courage within everyone. An energy shift began to unfurl around them. People began to nod and murmur affirmations, faces brightening with the realization that maybe, just maybe, they had the power to create a brighter future. Jack felt a lightness, a connection formed between him and Anna, the two of them now symbols of newfound hope in the storm's wake. We have to get started immediately, he heard himself say, and each word felt like an invitation rebounding off eager hearts. This fair is happening not just for today, but for the families that rely on us. Count me in, shouted another neighbor. Then voices joined in chorus, me too. I'll help. We can bring food, music. The rain drenched them, but the excitement electrified the atmosphere, washing away the shadows of doubt. They were transforming, heart by heart, into a community more alive than it had been in years. Jack could see the edges of his fears fraying under the collective heartbeat of their resolve. As conversations swirled, they began discussing dates, assuring every child could partake and every adult could help. While plans formed under the protective embrace of the rain, Jack felt a sense of liberation. This was no longer about competition or pride. It was about building bonds even during storms. Anna tugged at his sleeve again, her tiny smile infectious despite the dampness around them. See? We're making it happen. Yes, we are, Jack replied, warmth spreading across his chest. And we'll keep going, rains or shine. As they wrangled their ideas through the storm, Angela stepped closer, her expression turning earnest. Let us lay out a framework, together. In the light of truth and transparency, I'll bring in resources, but I can't do it alone. Let us be partners, Jack stated firmly, and let us make sure everyone feels heard in this. You share your knowledge and connections, and we get our community engaged. That's how we build dreams and trust. There it was. The doorway swinging open, welcoming both challenges and triumphs. By the time the rain finally began to let up, a vibrant tapestry of ideas interlaced with laughter had begun to take shape, and tension dissolved into resolve. As droplets cascaded off eaves and clothes, Jack's heart now felt full not just for himself, but for every person around him. Together, they could create something genuine, A fair that was just a show, but the beating heart of a revived community. Standing side by side, they leaned into the whisper of lovely possibilities, resilient spirits ready to change the imagery of their lives. It all converged into one resonant realization: they were stronger together. As they made plans for the fair, Jack put his arm around Anna, who was beaming with anticipation. "You know, this is just the beginning, Anna," he said softly. Her eyes sparkled like stars. "I can't wait." "Neither can I," he responded, a profound joy swelling within him. And as they stepped out into the fresh air, where sunlight peeked through the parting clouds, Jack took in a deep breath. The shadows that had once loomed felt far away. For the first time, he felt the heartbeat of family and community drumming not just around him, but in him, a rhythm of love, hope, and unwavering strength. And he knew, without question, they would not merely host a fair, they would weave a legacy. A transformation had begun, echoing through each heart, each home. They were ready to rise, not through wealth, but through the priceless treasure of true connection. Now, in this moment of triumph, Jack turned toward the crowd, feeling the adrenaline of what they could accomplish moving within him. "Let us make our community a shining example, and let us do it together." As cheers erupted, their future renewed with light, Jack whispered to Anna, "Keep that spirit alive, we're just getting started." The sun broke through, illuminating the path ahead, unwritten and full of promise, urging them to take every courageous step. And there, in that moment, bursting with promise and forward motion, a call rang clear: this was the moment to act. If you felt that surge of hope, subscribe immediately to our channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and show your support. Comment your reaction and feelings about this incredible transformation. And don't wait not even one more second, share this video with at least 5 friends who need to feel inspired today. Your support matters more than you know.